What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. Now, on to the show. Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Men Talking Mindfulness. Hey, I'm Will Schneider, and I'm joined by my brother from another mother, and I left that all hyphenated because it's like, that's what it is. John McCaskill right there in Colorado Springs, right? Hey, today we have a special episode for you. We know that the holidays can be a challenging time, dealing with difficult family members, your holiday shopping, all the preparations, all the experience. You might experience some loneliness, the many holiday expectations, and there's a lot of stress that may arise. So we are here to help. Our hopes are in this episode will help you have a more enjoyable holiday season with less stress by establishing some awareness of what might be getting in the way and providing some strategies for creating more joy and merriment, because this is what the holidays should be all about. A little side note, John and I this is our first episode just coming off our plant-based medicine retreat in Costa Rica. We finally met in person, which was a great joy for me, John. So if you'd like to hear more about this experience, our videos are up on YouTube, and our first of two episodes, one of them has been released on podcast, with the other one coming up in the next few days. So John, great to see you again. How are you today? Thanks for being here.
It's been a crazy day so far. Woke up early this morning with my little 4-year-old girl sick, and I'll be honest, I'm not feeling 100% here, but this show always brings a smile to my face, and I know we're late. Normally we're on time, and hey, guess what? Hey, we're fashionably late to this episode because it's the holidays, and that's how you show up to these holiday events. You show up to holiday parties fashionably late. You don't have to be on time, so that's why we're here about 10 minutes past. But hey, it is what it is, and that's okay, because we are raw, uncut, and unapologetic here on the show. But I don't have any announcements or anything outside of what you already talked about, Will. So we're going to jump right into our opening grounding practice, which I think we both need, man. How's that?
Oh, yeah. I was. The reason relay is my fault. I don't know what is going on. Me trying to log into all this, and I got locked out. So here we are, and I could really use this grounding practice because I was really just wanted to break something, just like 10 minutes ago, right? Not the way a mindfulness person and teacher or our show should be speaking, but hey, we are honest, if nonetheless. So
Right.
yes, so John, please, John, a nice grounding practice would be amazing.
That you're experiencing right there, that stress and anxiety, it was partially self-imposed, right? Like, we have this time that we've set, but nobody's holding us to it. And that's what we do. We as human beings do, is we self-impose these times, these stressors on ourselves. And I know a lot of you listening or watching later are going to be doing that to yourself through the holiday seasons, as people invite you to party X, Y, or Z, and you start loading up your calendar, and you look at your calendar and you're like, holy cow, we've got a lot going on. That causes a lot of stress and anxiety. And that's what we're here to talk about, is how to enjoy those holidays with less stress. So let's start with that grounding practice. And I do have to highlight your sweet holiday edition of the MTM shirt. That is beautiful. It's looking so great in that forest green. Hey, if you missed that order, shame on you, because that is a beautiful shirt, and I look forward to having mine on this end. But all right, enough joking. So let's get into this grounding practice.
Great.
So get into a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. And if closing your eyes is comfortable for you, go ahead. I invite you to do that. Otherwise, just soften your gaze. And let's begin with 3 deep cleansing breaths together. Begin by breathing out as much air as you can. Bring your navel to your spine. Breathe in deep in through your nose. Hold at the top. And relax, letting it go nice and slow, 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 paying attention to the physical sensation of breathing out. And hold at the bottom, noticing that emptiness, that sense of emptiness. Breathe in through your nose. Hold at the top. Again, noting that sense of fullness at the top. And relax, letting it go nice and slow, slow, slow. Hold at the bottom. And last one, breath in. Hold at the top. Hold it. Hold it. And relax, letting it go nice and slow, slow, slow. Now just breathe naturally. Just notice how you're feeling. Notice your physical sensations. So what do you see, even with your eyes closed or your gaze softened? What do you see? You don't have to identify it, just notice it. Notice if you're hearing anything. And if you're not, notice that, the silence. Notice if you're smelling anything. Again, don't feel the need to identify it necessarily, but just notice it. Notice if you're tasting anything. Maybe you've recently drunk a cup of coffee or recently brushed your teeth. Or again, maybe there's no taste here. And the last of the physical senses, just notice what you're feeling. Can you feel the heater or the air conditioner blowing over your skin? Can you feel the seat underneath your butt? Can you feel the ground underneath your feet? And now shift from the physical sensations to the emotional sensations. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? Just notice it. Don't judge it. If you're feeling a little shaken, jazzed, amped up, that's okay. Stressed, anxious, that's okay. Just be with that emotion, whatever it is, without any judgment. And now let's close together with one last deep cleansing breath. Again, by breathing out as much air as you can, bringing that navel to your spine. Breathe in deep in through your nose. And relax. Slow, slow, slow and relaxing breath out. Now, start to bring some movement back into your body. Maybe shake your head around just lightly. Blink your eyes open and refocus your vision. I'm going to adjust my glasses because they about fell off. And here we go, man. Let's kick this episode off.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
you feeling a little bit better, man?
I am feeling a little bit better. I'm still a little, yes, I am. But it's really interesting. I could feel that stress and like this kind of almost like a rage. Because I was just, I think I get very bothered. And this might be helpful, if you're one of those people out there that always want to be on time. And I definitely struggle with that. So that shows up when I'm like in the car driving, and it's like, oh my God, is the traffic going to be bad? I want to get to this thing on time. Or, if I live in the city as well, so like the subway is running late and I feel that rush of anxiety, so just even that breathing practice alone is a great place, to start, or maybe continually utilize in this holiday season. So if you're, again, so if you have commuting stress, that could be an airline, just take some time to breathe, find your feet, be in the moment, and just recognize your emotions and notice that they're not you. Or if you're about to head into a difficult family member's house, right? That really can be very triggering. Take a couple of breaths, find your feet, or even if you're in that house having dinner or having a seat with that person or those people, those loved ones. Remember, they're supposed to be loved ones. Maybe take a little bit of breath and create some distance from those emotions and really kind of drop in. So the breath can be, like we can just probably end the episode right now, John, right? Just by doing this breathing practice and talking about the breathing, because I tell you what, it will be, if you exercise it, be one of your greatest allies, regardless of what season it is or what time it is. Just finding your breath, navigating yourself back to the here and now, and knowing that you're not your mind, you're not your feelings, right? You're this, pure potential right here, right now. And it's like, what choice do you want to make with the time and energy that you have and awareness you have right now? But I just want to throw that out there right now, John.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
I do. Yeah, thank you. And I feel excited now, like I've actually done something,
there you go.
Instead of like failing in the beginning. Yeah, I thank you, John. I appreciate it, man. Great to see you. Great to see you.
I am, right?
Yeah, exactly. William. My dad just said that when I was a kid. Will I am, and here it is. Like years later, I'm Will.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, I know one thing that we often do when we break a topic down like this is we define the actual topic, define the word.
Yeah.
And I want to define joy, or I'd love for you to, if you could, for the audience. And let's kind of dig into that and why finding joy around such a joyous time of year can be so difficult, and then how to get back to that sense of joy and reduce that stress.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you, John. Well said. So defining joy, this is straight out of the dictionary, right? I have 4 definitions for joy that we'll share, right? Number 1 is a feeling or state of well-being or contentment, right? Well-being or contentment, right? The feeling of it, right? The feeling of it. Number 2, the emotion evoked by well-being or success. Cool. Another one, the state of happiness or felicity or bliss. That's kind of cool. I like that one. That's my favorite right now. Right. And then the other one is for defining joy as source or cause of delight. And each one of those I say with like a nice little calming ring to this ring, because it's like, this is the state that I want to be in. And this is also part of our natural state of being, is that having that joy and having that happiness and that bliss. And then some synonyms, are bliss, blissfulness, felicity, gladness, happiness, warm fuzzies, or blessedness. So those are, and then we have the opposite, right? Which is that stress, which is the, those negative feelings, the frustration, anger, anxiety, like that is not going to, it's the opposite. So, so where does that bring up for you, John? Or,
well, I like those. I like those 4 definitions, because it's almost like a spectrum, right? There's no one specific point of joy. So it varies from the sense of fulfillment and contentment, which is just, to me, those words to me kind of remind me of a sigh, right? A sigh of contentment. You're like, whew, all right. Like not an angry sigh, but a sigh of relief, a sigh of contentment. Hey, you've kind of arrived at this spot of fulfillment. And then further down the spectrum is like the more extreme version of joy, that bliss.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you actually defined them with these different words, because I want to talk about, like, a lot of people think that you have to experience bliss in order to have joy. But really, you can be peaceful and content. And that in and of itself can be joy. And you don't have to be at this extreme end where you're just experiencing eternal bliss, right? And I think that's what gets us in a lot of trouble around the holidays. Hey, we've got these Christmas cards, we've got these Christmas movies,
We
It's
got the commercials and
expectations.
stuff.
We got the
Yeah, right.
commercials,
And it's
right?
supposed to
Yeah,
be like everything's supposed to be,
everything's supposed
we're
to be.
advertised, right? Yeah, we're advertised and kind of seduced into believing if I am not like dancing through the mall as I'm shopping or dancing into my like parents' house as I go to visit, then I'm not actually having a good holiday. And that's just
Right.
a bunch of BS, right? I mean, that is
Absolutely.
just pure manipulation. But
Yeah,
like
sales.
again, to come to right, exactly, to come to that like lower end, not lesser end, but like kind of like it just to be peaceful and content is probably the best way to start. And then if you're more peaceful and content, then that bliss, that delight, that glad, what's that word, gladness, right, that
Mm,
happiness has a greater opportunity to kind of bubble up. So how about like your baseline is just to be peaceful and content. And I think about that baseline.
right.
Being peaceful is just being okay with where you are, what you're doing, and really putting yourself into that place of peace, right? If you're going to go into an environment that you're not peaceful, then maybe you shouldn't be in that environment. Think about it, right? The
Yeah.
ability to say no, right? But like that doesn't work for me. It could be part of this finding joy for the holidays, like just setting some boundaries.
Right.
But also that contentment too. It's like, just remind yourself or maybe like have an intention for the holidays of like, what is the holidays all about for you? And then being very clear with what that intention is and how you define holiday joy and peacefulness and contentment and just starting there. So,
Yeah, I think that's huge. And the coming back to the expectations and expectations versus reality, and what that does to us quite often. But also, when we get invited to those parties, and this is definitely first world problems, right? Getting
yeah.
invited to too many parties.
I'm
But
so
but you
popular. I got it. It's
but
funny.
you have these emotions like, oh, maybe that's the party that I'm going to go to. That's going to be so fun. You have that fear of missing out that it's become kind of a part of life in a weird way. But you sacrifice that peace because now
Mm,
you have a calendar full of
mm,
commitments, social commitments that you may not be able to keep. One, so now you're okay. Now I can't go to that party because I'm overstressed or whatever. Well, guess what? Not going to that party is not the end of the world, and saying
right.
no
Mm,
initially is not
right.
the end of the world too. So I think in order to reach this state of contentment and then later this state of bliss, we have to set ourselves up for success by removing as much stress as we can. And
Right.
the holidays have a way of inducing more stress in our
Right.
lives. Well, what can we do to reduce that stress, get into that lower end of the joy spectrum, if you will, so that peace and contentment, so that later we may be able to reach the higher end of that bliss.
Right.
And one of the things that we obviously do here on the show, and what Will and I are practitioners of and teachers of, is breath work. Just simply taking a few breaths, and Dr. Seth Hickerson talks about it on one of our episodes, that BAMA breath: breathe and move on. So
Yeah.
when you're feeling a little stressed, maybe as you're grabbing the doorknob of the house of a family member or friend that you're a little anxious about going into that party for one reason or another, you grab that doorknob and you just take a breath. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and then move on. Breathe and move on. And you open up that
Yeah.
door and you go on in. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds ridiculous and trivial, but it does. Just that second pause can set you up to have a more peaceful and fulfilling, hence
Mm,
joyful, time
uh,
at that party or with that family member, whatever the
yeah.
case may be. So doing some things like that in the moment can set you up for success, but also prior to those events. So maybe drinking less alcohol, because sometimes that can depress us.
Right. Or make
Maybe
you angry. It fires up the liver,
or
kind of like
or
brings
firing
up
up.
some of
Yeah,
that, like, whatever's going
yeah,
on in the family. It could be some resentment from a year
absolutely.
ago. It's like, oh, I've been meaning to talk to you. It's like, I mean, that's going to come up,
Right.
that those things can come up. I mean, family can be very challenging.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. for
And
sure.
I think it's like, but also remembering, John, that the holidays aren't just about everybody else and making everybody else happy. And if you're going to
Mm,
be miserable if you're running around trying to make everyone else happy by dressing a certain way, being a certain way, like buying certain gifts, and so how about like 50% of the holidays is about loved ones and other people in your life, right? And helping to create some joy or at least some peace in their life. But also 50% should be about you and what you want, right? And what's important to you, and setting boundaries around to protect that. I mean, because ultimately, if you're in a place that you're going to have a challenging emotional circumstance or something with someone in the family, well, maybe it's good that you don't show up, or maybe it's good that you just phone in or do a little video or send a card, and
yeah,
so again, it's just like, what are your intentions for the holiday? What makes you happy for the holidays? I know I keep coming back to that, but I think like we just sacrifice so much. Again, coming back to that
absolutely.
marketing, the manipulation of kind of like the capitalism and the marketing machines out there.
Oh, well,
It's
man, I'm
just like,
glad you brought that up. I'm glad you
yeah,
brought that up specifically because I wanted to go into, the finances that are such a stressor
there
during
you
the
go.
holidays,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like we feel this need to buy gifts for everyone we know. I'll tell you right now, Will, I'm not buying you anything. I love you, brother, but I'm not going to buy
All
you anything
good,
for the
John.
holidays.
Yeah, all good, all
and
good.
I'm trying to limit what I buy because, hey, it's all great in the moment. Hey, when you give that gift to whoever, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying don't buy gifts, but spend within your means and maybe set a budget for the holidays, whether it's
Yep.
Christmas or some other holiday, set a budget for that and
Mhm.
then spend within that budget because if you don't, you're going to end up in the red, and finances is one of the biggest stressors out there, and
Right.
you're going to end up having a miserable holiday because you spent too much,
Yeah.
and it's that other 50%, right? You
Right.
spent thousands of dollars or whatever the case may be to make that other 50% feel great, and here you are, the other 50% that you should be taken care of, and you feel like crap because you're stressed out about the money. And that
Right.
is, again, comes down to capitalism, marketing. I mean, which I have nothing necessarily against. I mean,
Right.
I market myself, I market the work we do,
Yep.
but I don't try to prey on the emotions of the holiday, right? And that's what so much marketing is. You show, I mean, look at the old Lexus commercials, right? So you're not a good husband if you're not buying your spouse a Lexus for Christmas with a big
Yeah.
gigantic red bow on it. I mean, that
Yes.
was a great marketing ploy because I remember it very well. But
Yeah.
that, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel
Right.
terrible if you don't have enough money to buy a Lexus. Again, first world problems, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And it
stressors
could be
are
it
out
could be
there.
little things too, John. It doesn't have to be like big, gigantic, expensive gifts. It could be something more meaningful, something you actually make for somebody
Make
else.
Yeah,
Or it could, or it could just be something that is, well thought out. Like I bought last year for I didn't get a chance to see my family last year, but I just got them all like nice Carhartt hats. Like, who doesn't need a winter hat in Pennsylvania? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
right.
just something real simple, and it's just like a simple, like, I'm thinking of you. Like, because I mean, everyone wears freaking hats in Pennsylvania,
Right.
from December to March because it's cold. So why not get a good hat? It wasn't even terribly expensive. I think it's like they're like
Yeah,
$20 or something like that. But little things like that. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be big expensive items either, or just how about just really spending some quality time with people, or just really having a nice phone call with somebody, or also maybe making promises to talk to people I haven't connected with, like at a certain time throughout the coming year, and
Yeah.
like that's the stuff that's going to be matter, what the
It's
experience that they have with you and what they feel in their heart, instead of buying a bunch of stuff that they like, that particular person might enjoy for a couple months and then just completely forget about,
right.
you
Yeah.
know
I mean, what do people like? Honestly, when you think about it, a lot of the time you can't remember what you got the year before
Right.
for Christmas, for whatever holiday.
Right.
But what you can remember, what you more often will remember, is the experience.
Right.
So, if for my kids, the biggest gift that I can give them is my time. Now,
Yes.
granted, they don't realize that.
Right.
They want
Right.
toys, and I'll get them some toys, but what I give them is my time, and not with this thing, my phone, right? I snuggle with my kids, and I'm sitting here on my phone like this. That's
Yeah.
not me
That's not
giving them their
snuggling,
time.
John. John, that's
That's
not
not snug.
snuggling.
No,
That's
I
not
know that's my
snuggling.
point. That's my
No, I'm
point,
kidding.
right? And that's not me giving them my time because I'm not
Right.
100% devoted to them. And if you're able to shut these things off when you're with your loved ones, you're going to
Yeah.
be able to give them more quality time, and that is something they're going to remember. So maybe that's the only gift you can give them,
Right.
is, which honestly is probably one of the biggest gifts you can give them, is your
Well,
undivided time and attention.
yes.
So yeah,
I mean, think about it. If time is the most is the most precious human commodity, why wouldn't it
yeah,
be the most precious gift?
right.
You
Yeah,
know,
you don't get
and
time back.
yeah, you don't get time back, but you also like, how are you? What kind of what are you doing with that time? You know, it could be, again, getting off your phone. I mean, that is a huge one. Just being
Yeah,
present, or how about taking charge of a particular event? Like, you know what, everybody, phones in the basket on airplane mode. We're gonna spend next couple hours together, tech free, right? And then
yeah,
doing something fun. You could be doing a fun game, right? You can be dancing. You can be sharing stories or doing like a little, hey, like gratitude. Everyone says a couple pieces of gratitude for the year, or maybe that happens around dinner time. But really making it about time well spent, intentional time with each other, right? And part
yes,
of that time, John, is really being present and listening. And what I get a lot out of in my relationship, and like just asking, being very genuinely curious about other people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just ask them some great. People love to tell. What's the like the most important or most
What do people want to talk
important
about
word?
most?
Yeah, yeah, themselves, right? And
Yeah,
that's the most,
themselves.
their name. So like, why not go? Like, that's just a gift. Just ask
Yeah,
them about their upcoming vacation or something they really enjoyed about 2021, or I mean, and if you know the person more intimately, if somebody like cooking's coming up for me, it's just like, oh, so what are some of the things you really enjoyed? Just talk about something that are genuinely interested people, but you are honestly and genuinely interested in that topic and them on in that particular topic as well. So I mean,
right.
and that's a gift right there, John. Again, the gift of time, the gift of attention, the gift of listening. These are
Gift of
all like, I mean,
caring.
yeah, the gift of caring, right? Which is
Yeah,
also compassion, right?
right.
I mean, that was, that will create some of the most meaningful experiences in the holiday season, outside of all the gifts, outside of, all the expectations and stuff. And that's another thing. It's like, letting go of these holiday expectations. Expectations
Yeah.
keep us from finding joy with what is actually right in front of us. It's simple. Attachment equals suffering, right? So if you're attaching,
Yes.
like, I need, right, I need these three things, these three material items, wherever they are, or these events to happen in my holiday, and if I don't, it's going to be like ruined completely. Then you're already suffering, number one, because you're already going forward with some ridiculous expectations. And you're going to have a miserable holiday. And if you're miserable, then the people around you are, probably going to be miserable too, a little bit, or definitely like, not so great
Yeah.
with you because you're being miserable. So how about
Right.
letting go and going with the flow, right? And that's where you're going to find the freedom, which will bring you joy, and, and it'll keep you away from more of
And,
that misery, is, again,
and that
letting go of those
applies.
expectations. Yeah.
That applies during the holidays. It applies during everything. Is, I don't want to say lower your expectations, right? Hey, you can
Like,
have grand expectations, but realize that a lot of the time your expectations are going to be different, maybe not worse or better,
mm,
but they're going to be different than reality. And realizing that is a huge piece in attaining that sense of fulfillment and peace. A piece in attaining peace. Two different pieces,
yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so
PIECE and
yes, exactly.
PEACE, right?
There you go. There you go. So, and I know during the prep for this show, you put together a list of the most common holiday stressors and what you can
Yeah,
do to overcome those. So you want to
yeah,
tag team those?
yeah. Well, we already mentioned a couple, so why don't you just
Yeah.
jump on with one, John, and
Yeah.
I'll come after that.
Yeah. So, I can't get it all done. We've talked about the parties, sure, But we're also, what if you're a host of a party or you're a host of a family and prepping for all that? You have your huge to-do list that you've got to get through. You know what? Sure, plan ahead, make those lists, and also give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace and know that, sure, these parties that you're going to go to aren't going to be perfect, but also the parties that you're going to host, don't expect perfection from yourself. Don't
Yeah.
expect perfection from yourself. So I think give yourself some grace in that. That's number
Yeah.
one.
That's one thing that I see that in certain family members of mine. Like they, it's the holidays come and, we're having 20 people over the house and, if everything isn't perfect or, it's leading into it, during it, after it, it's just all stress. And, it could just be one person
Right.
that creates like, they're kind of that epicenter of stress, and it kind of ripples out to everybody else. And it's tough, especially when those loved ones are people that are very, very, very close to, to be patient and understanding and understand that they, because of your emotional intelligence, right, but maybe listening to the show, right, understand that they are stressed, and then like, what can you do to maybe help alleviate stress? Like if you see someone struggling, right, coming back to like, time is the most precious, and you give your gift of time, and one way to give your time is to help somebody, right? If somebody is, they're, they want to get the, dessert out or the treats out or do whatever, or decorate or something like that, but like, hey, let me help you. And like, again, like those are the times that I remember the most, is when somebody's willingly offering up their time to help me. And also just even recognizing, John, that someone is stressed out and kind of coming in and trying to help them, or, in some way that could be like, oh, just to be seen, John, is it could be a great gift for the holidays.
For sure. Being seen, that's one of the natural human needs, right? Is to matter. So yeah, absolutely.
So then I have written here, I can't stand my family, right? Like that's like, in quotes, right? And this is, again, we mentioned family a bunch. I just was talking about that, and this can be a big struggle. We're going to talk at the end about, identifying some of these triggers, but family is definitely going to be a big trigger, so you can, I'm just want to read here. So it's like, if some of your family is troubled, you decline spending time with them, or if this is impossible, suggest some like neutral territory, to do something fun. If you can't escape, take a walk, get out, maybe take some sort of class together, but with the family, and I know it could be very challenging. I sound like I have a horrible family, John, don't I?
No, we know that's not true.
No, I don't at all. But they have really been great teachers for me, especially around the holidays, about how to be more mindful and how to, be aware of more stress. So that's what I'll say about family. But anything else from you, John?
The flip side of that, right? Okay, my family sucks. My family doesn't suck, but I mean, just being around family personally, it can be stressful for anyone. And for me, being around my kids and my wife, that's one thing. You expand that much more. I love my family dearly, but it's always stressful. But the flip side of that is I'm lonely, and being lonely around the holidays can be very saddening. Right. And so you can't be passive about that. If you're feeling lonely, what can you do about it? Let's do something, be active. So take a step to meet someone, take a step to join a group, take a step to, be a part of a potluck or something, maybe a church, maybe if church isn't your thing, there's community events, find something there. And if meeting in person isn't your thing, I mean, I know we were just talking about getting off your phones, but sometimes doing a Zoom call with someone that you may not see regularly, maybe someone overseas, someone on the other side of the country that you haven't seen in a long time, reach out to them. That might mean it might mean the world to them. Maybe they need that call in this very moment. So take a leap of faith and make an active move towards not feeling lonely by connecting with someone.
There you go. Yeah. And it's like, exactly. Again, get social,
Yeah.
and maybe do something fun socially. Like, I enjoy dancing because it not only it makes me feel good because of what it does to my, the chemistry on the inside of my body when I'm dancing. It just, you get a natural heightened state of euphoria because of again, the hormones and chemistry that's in your body just from like dancing or laughing or something like that, and really like enjoying yourself. And again, you feeling lonely, then what's the opposite of loneliness? Connecting. So find
Right.
ways to connect, and sometimes it could be scary, John, to connect.
Yeah.
So maybe this holiday season, make a list of people you want to connect with that you haven't connected with in a while, and then take the initiative, be bold, and just reach out. And I think you'd be very pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
of the
No doubt.
welcome that you'll hear and the feelings you'll hear from that person on the other end. Uh,
Yep.
Another one here is I hate crowds.
Yep.
Crowds. Yeah. And so what do we do in this situation? Well, shift your focus, and so taking more of the holiday spirit around you. Don't make it all about you and your anxiety and your to-do list. And, it's like go out. Like, again, try to get into the flow, notice when people are doing, remind yourself why you are doing wherever you are in that particular crowd. Remind yourself why you're there,
Yeah.
and, so instead of getting caught up with, whatever kind of immediate circumstances pulling you down, like put yourself in a different situation. And what I call a lost cousin. Yeah. So that's like, crowds like that. This is, again, the most powerful thing, John, that we have as a human being is the power to make a choice. And, you can make choices around the holiday, and each one of these that we're talking about here is an opportunity to make a choice that's fulfilling, for you first and foremost, and then hopefully more fulfilling and more connecting and more joyful for the people that you're connecting with out there. What's going
Yep.
on?
No, I
So
get it, man. And then that's the next thing is just being exhausted. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be exhausted around the holidays. One, it's the kind of coming to the end of a year, and these years, and specifically the past 2 years, have been emotionally and physically exhausting. But outside of that, just the holidays can be exhausting.
yeah,
And if you don't, again, make an active effort to rest. So I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you have to be active in setting aside time to rest. You have to be active in setting aside time for self-care. So if that's getting to the gym, I mean, you don't need to crush yourself necessarily, but get to the gym or do something active because that can help with exhaustion. Just doing a walk, just doing something light,
yeah,
kind of get your body moving, get that
yeah,
mind, body, spirit connection going. So taking some time for self-care can help with that feeling
yeah.
of exhaustion around the holidays.
Yeah, and if you are exhausted, John, that you are going to be less likely. You put yourself in a place that you're going to be much more easily triggered if you're tired. So again, this is a holiday, right? It's not all about the hubbub and the parties and the gifts and pleasing everybody else. If you're not happy, right, or you're not pleasing yourself, then you are not going to be able. You're going to be very ineffective in trying to like make other people happy. And not like you have to.
Yeah.
That's not your job either. But like if you just maybe take the time, like look at the calendar. If the calendar's all loaded with too many parties or too many things you're trying to do, and how many of those things are you trying? Is it about trying to impress other people, or
Yeah.
is it about you and what feels good for you? And is that bringing you that holiday peacefulness and contentment, or maybe that bliss and delight, or that like gladness? So
I think that's a
yeah,
great way of looking at it, man. Like,
yeah,
look at the list of things you've got going on over the holidays and ask yourself, is this about someone else?
there you go.
And okay, more often than not, even deeper than that, is it about how they're going to perceive me, right?
Yeah,
Like, hey, I show up at your party and you perceive me as somebody cool who showed up to your party.
right.
Hey, I got you a gift and you perceive me as somebody cool. So it's all great if you're making it about them and them alone, right? What I mean by that is you're truly making it about them. You're truly being compassionate and you want to be there with them. Or are you making it about yourself in this kind of weird backward way, right? You're only showing up to show them that you're a cool person. Um,
Right.
so I know
Yeah.
we talked about the 50%, 50% about them, 50% about you,
Mm-hmm.
and keeping that in balance. But that 50% that is supposedly about them, is it truly, or is part of that also about you? So I'd just
Yeah.
be careful about what you commit to and why you're committing to it. If you
Yeah.
can truly say, I'm committing because I want to go and have fun, I'm committing because it's going to be a good party, then that's great. Go if you have the
Yeah.
time, you have the energy. But if you're
Yeah.
committing because you want to put on a show and you want to be seen as something that you're not, don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go
Yeah.
because you're doing it for the
Yeah.
wrong reasons.
Yeah. And I forget this quote, or I learned something a long time ago. It's very valuable for me. It's like, the people that love you the most, they don't need a reason, right? If you just say, look, I can't come to your party, John, if we're in Colorado, or I live there, and I couldn't come over because whatever, I was too tired or something came up, and I'm like, John, I'm really sorry, I can't make it tonight. You'd be like, I
Yeah.
mean, because we have a great relationship. We have a wonderful, honest, caring, loving, compassionate, trusting relationship. So if I can't be there, right, then I can't be there. And I'd imagine you're not going to take that personal and be like, oh, Will's a piece of shit, or like, why is he doing this to me? Like, you know what I mean? It's like he's going to make me look bad because I'm not, like, no. But the people that don't really love, honest, and really admire you and respect you, it doesn't matter what you say. It does not
Yeah.
matter what you say. You're already at a lower ranking, or it's all about them, and their needs, and it's nothing to do with you and what is like, so just be aware of that, so it's like the
Yeah.
people that really love you, they just trust your judgment. If you can't be there, you can't be there. And if you need a little
Yep.
more rest and you really want to enjoy, more of yourself this holiday instead of making it about everybody else, then, this is just some opportunities or ways that we can protect, that self, and really getting, like, if you're a more restful person, you're going to be a happier and more peaceful person too, John. So take
100%.
that rest, take that
100%.
sleep in, go to bed earlier, like, I mean, really rest is, and sleep, as we've talked so much in this throughout, season 3, we had, we have a great episode with Nita about sleep. It's like,
Yeah.
if you protect your sleep, you're protecting yourself, and you're, doing some
Well,
really
ultimately,
good
you're going to be
healthy things for
better.
yourself.
You're going to be better
Yep.
for those around you because you're
Yeah.
rested. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's kind of this, again, it's not super intuitive, but when you take care of yourself and you are a better version of yourself,
Yeah.
you're going to show up a better version of yourself for
Right.
those that you care for. But if you show up to these parties completely exhausted, completely stressed, then you are going to not enjoy it. People are not going to enjoy you being there. And then coming back to that, hey, how do you want people to perceive you? You show up to these parties because you want people to perceive you as this cool person who's fun and go lucky, and you're at all these parties, but you're stressed and you're a killjoy. They're going to perceive you as just that, someone
Right.
who's stressed and someone who is a killjoy, and they're not going to want you at their next party.
Right.
So taking care
Yeah.
of yourself, really, most of this all boils down to taking care of yourself. Take some
Self-care.
time for self-care.
Self-care. Well,
Okay, let's
here's
end the
another
show
one,
right
John.
there.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? Well, before we end the show, I thought it'd be good, John. I mean, we got a few minutes left here. So I thought it might be nice if you're still nervous about the holidays, or you really just want to have a better holiday, or show yourself that you can have a good holiday. Plan, like, execute that plan. So what is a good? Here's maybe some strategies or things that you can actually take some time. Mindfulness is all about awareness and self-reflection, and using that time and that self-reflection in order to show up differently in the world, right? So you can spread more joy and love, or just be more peaceful, right? And just be like present as well. So I thought it'd be nice to identify some triggers, that might get in the way of your holiday joy. So what I have here is, and this might take some. Well, I'm going to talk about some triggers here. and then also some relationship triggers. John, I think this will be
Yeah.
okay, right?
Do it.
We got this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Again, so I'm just going to kind of read this and kind of, and work through it, because this could be really a powerful exercise for anybody that's listening. So identifying your triggers, take some time to reflect. Awareness equals, right, opportunity for change, right? Because you're the choice maker out there. So list at least 5 events or situations that get in the way of your joy, and be specific. Again, specificity is really important when you're working with awareness, because that's what's really going to create those opportunities to see where change can occur. So 5 events or situations that get in the way of your joy. So think about, we're going to talk a little bit more details about family and friends, but that's definitely a category. Situation, shopping, and money, right? The category right there, party pressure or being lonely, right? So what are some strategies, right? Legit strategies in order to avoid the party pressures or the loneliness? How about just avoiding, right? Because food is a big part of how we do things, whatever, avoid crappy food like sugar, maybe eating cleaner for the holidays. This is going to help, you help sleep better. So being proactive with your diet, that includes alcohol as well. I mean, I can have some really bad hangovers, and I like to enjoy myself, John. Like I'm probably going to get, alcohol has not been my best friend over the last several years. So it's hard for me to drink a lot of alcohol. And I did as a kid, but the hangovers are terrible. And that's not the way that I want to spend my precious time over the holidays. Right. Here's another thing. So being aware of when joy begins to diminish, what are the triggers? Is this, people, places, food, music? Identify your triggers and how to deal with them. What can you do differently this holiday season? Can you celebrate in some different ways? Subtle, right, or something more profound? And be active. Anytime we are in our body, anytime you're in your body, you are lightening your brain, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Remaining sedentary causes depression, right? So, if you're just sitting around and binge watching, over the holidays, like it has been shown and proven that is a subtle form of depression. So get active and get out there and do different things, and not just, it's nice to rest during the holiday, but you're going to be more restful if you're also active as well. Then also here, jump on.
I got to jump on your binge watching one, right? Because I have guilty pleasures of certain shows on Netflix or whatever, and my wife and I enjoy ones. But I'll tell you what really gets people down is they've got these holidays planned, and their expectation doesn't match reality. But then they jump on social media and they see everyone else's perfect holidays, right? They see everybody's got a perfect Christmas tree. They see everybody's got the perfect Christmas or holiday turkey. They see that everyone has the perfect holiday outfits and ugly sweaters, and everyone's having a great time. Social media is the source of so much stress, anxiety, and depression year round, not just around the holidays. Right. But be careful.
Probably worse than the holidays.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's worse during the holidays, but be careful of how much social media you're consuming. And when you are consuming it, take it with a grain of salt. Know that most of what people are going to post is what they want you to perceive. It's not reality, or it's not all reality, right? So take it with a grain of salt. And when you're cruising that social media, realize that you don't have to compete with the Joneses or the billions of Joneses that are out there on social media. So take a break from social media if you need to. I've just downloaded an amazing app that shuts down my social media at 5 p.m. every day. It's called Opal, and it completely shuts down my email, my social media at 5 o'clock every day. And it's been a game changer. Talking about being with my kids. Hey, now I don't feel that weird, stupid draw to my phone to check social media when I'm with the ones that I care about the most. So, all right, I'm getting off. I'll get off my social media.
No. Hey, no, that's very important. We didn't even talk about it until right now, John. And that is a big kind of black hole or vortex that can really pull the misery, you can bring forth the misery, but pull the joy of the holidays out of you. It's just like, oh, well, what is so and so doing? And like, oh, look at that, they got the car with the Lexus bow on it. It's like, oh, my holidays is ruined, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll talk about here is how to deal with some of these challenging relationships, and so identifying family and challenging relationships during the holidays, navigating to joy through the suck joy or kind of joy vampire people, right? And there's people out there that it doesn't matter, how you're showing up, or it doesn't matter the time of year, they're miserable, and I feel, I really very heartfelt and sorry for people that are like that. But if you're very sensitive to that kind of energy, then you might want to avoid, right, or have less engagement with people like this. So there are people, that could be family, friends. This could be retail associates that are out there that may try to suck the joy out of you, right? Because misery loves company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but don't let them. So how can you prevent this from happening, right? So I would suggest, again, getting proactive, write down. So make a list of potentially these joy vampires that are out there. And then how you can, yeah, I know, right? And then how you can show up differently. So stay upbeat. So make a list of these people, stay upbeat. Like how do you define you staying upbeat? What does that look like? Just even smiling when you're shopping, somebody is like really like you believe this sales associate or whatever, just smile, it's infectious, right? And it's very powerful. I come with the place of asking uplifting questions, instead of focusing on the struggles, right? Talk about what is exciting in the new coming year, or maybe talk about
gratitude,
about joy, right? Gratitude, right? Maybe bring up something that happened in the past that you really enjoy, talk about kids. The kids are always just such a great natural sense of joy, and talking about them, it's like, oh yeah, they're so cute, maybe favorite surprises or holiday gifts, or talking about things that, again, that kind of lighten the conversation and bring forth inspiration. Don't, and also another thing here is don't enroll in somebody's negative BS, right? Simply don't buy into it or get sucked into the rabbit hole of their BS. This is joy sucking, negativity. So change the subject and introduce a topic that is joyful, happy, or engage both of you in an uplifting way. Yeah. And then last I have here, go ahead.
I'll just add in one thing that is off the table when both my wife and or I get together with our families. Two things: politics and religion.
Boom.
And I mean, if we're all on the same page with religion, I mean, a lot of the holidays are there to celebrate your particular religion and what it is you believe. And sure, if that's part of it, that's great. But when you start getting too far down the road with people who don't necessarily have the same beliefs, it can get contentious and cause stress. And even though you are in the same family, doesn't mean that you always have the same beliefs. And that's with politics and religion. And if you can just remove those, take them off the table, then a lot of the time that can also lead to a more joyful and less stressful holiday season.
And last thing I'll say about relationships is, enjoy just stepping back, smiling genuinely, and listening and asking questions. Or, if things are too contentious, or the energy in a particular space or party or whatever is just, too much, then just take yourself out of the situation. That could be a great gift as well. Just removing a particular element, your energy, right, from a situation, so you're not getting upset, other people aren't getting upset, and it's not turning into some some sort of rave or not a rave, like sort
rage,
of, frenzy of
frenzy,
anger or rage, So I think we kind of do a pretty good job here, John. I think.
I think we've covered
anything. I mean, if I do say so myself,
I'll come over there and give you a pat on the back too, man.
Thanks, John. Felt great.
Right on. Well, yeah, that's it. So let's wrap it up with a closing practice to wrap up this this holiday season episode, and how to have more joy and less stress. And let's call it done, man.
Okay, well, great. I got this one, John, and I'm just going to do something that, again, we're just going to take 5 breaths. We're going to inhale for 5 seconds, like a big breath we're trying to really bring into our body. So think as you breathe. And if you're not used to taking big breaths, then I really suggest using your hands to create some more contact with yourself. So you can bring hand on your belly and hand on your chest, right? We're trying to fill into the belly first, right? And then try to bring that breath as we count through that 5 seconds all the way to the top of the chest. And the exhalation, really allow a nice, slow, not stressful, not stress inducing, but a nice, slow, calming exhalation, which will create some natural relaxation by taking control of your breath. And I offer, and this could be, if you have a family and you're all traveling together, and before you go somewhere, maybe just doing these breaths together could remind yourself of you want the holidays is the time that we are together, and hopefully when we're together, it's a time of joy and a time of happiness and a time of peace. And breathing together as a group will help to bond you around those values. So here we are, hand on the belly, hand on the chest, eyes are closed if it's available, or maybe you're listening to this as you're driving to a holiday function, right? So you can breathe with your eyes open and drive or walk or whatever. But we'll start with the next exhale through the mouth. Let that breath go all the way out. You can pull the diaphragm up, empty. I hear that, John. That's good. Right. Let's take a big balloon inhale in. 3, keep going. 2, that's it. 1, just hold for a second and get very intentional. And then exhale very slowly through the mouth. Bring a natural feeling of peace in that exhale as you let it go. And inhale again for 5, 4, filling up. 3, 2, 1, exhale out. And relax with peace and exhale with peace. Again, inhale. Exhale. Nice. 2 more. In, bigger breath if you can. Exhale for 5. Good. Last one. In 5. Out 5. Good. And just take a moment here. Thank yourself for just breathing and allowing yourself to become more present, more aware, and remind yourself that you make the choices in your life, and start making choices that are going to bring you joy for this holiday season, for yourself and those around you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And thank you, John, for this platform. Thank you, everybody out there that's listening. I think this is actually going to be the last podcast that is going to air. When it becomes a podcast.
We'll publish this just before 17th. Christmas. I think on the 21st, actually. Those of you who are watching it get to see it and hear it before it actually gets published in podcast form. Thanks so much for joining us here live. And if you're watching it later, whether that's on YouTube or on See Good TV, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you, and share this with anyone who you feel may need more joy or need less stress, which guess what? That's everyone. Share it with everyone. All right.
Yes. Until next time. Well, enjoy the holidays, everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy holidays. Peace.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.